what the speculators in rhino horn don't fully build into their arguments is that the consumers prefer wild stocks over farm-raised stock. There's a overwhelming support of evidence which proves, and it's been done in bear bile and it's been in American ginger and all the different products, that the wild products have got so much more potency, and therefore they would prefer to have wild products than domestically raised products. And it's to the extent now that quite often the buyer would like to see the blood, or they'd like to see an ear accompany it to know that it is a wild product.
So again, this idea that you could suddenly move consumers away from purchasing only illegal product and purchasing farm stock, aside from the difficulties that Colin has just mentioned around the demand preference for wild products, is you're assuming perfect governance, and you're assuming that criminal syndicates who are currently stockpiling and drip feeding the market are going to go away overnight. And we know that that's not true. So the assumption of perfect governance is highly flawed, and the idea that consumers care is another issue that's relatively flawed at the moment. They only care if they're alerted to the fact that their purchase results in the death of a wild rhino. And at the moment, you're assuming that consumers will go to the trouble of identifying where a horn comes from. Now, if they prefer wild caught horn, and that's the element of demand that is most deleterious for wild rhino survival, why would they bother to conform to your system of perfectly calculated certificates of origin and so on? This has never worked. It doesn't even work for diamonds, and the supply of diamonds is tightly controlled, and you frankly still don't know whether you're purchasing a conflict diamond or a diamond from a conflict area. So assumption of perfect governance doesn't hold, and that consumers would care about buying a certified horn from a John Hume farm. We just don't know enough about consumers to know whether that would be the case, and given the fact that most consumers apparently desire wild sourced products, I don't understand the argument.
And then there's a further factor which we need to throw into the stewing pot, is that price is going to be the big issue. So price has historically sort of gone from about 20,000 US a kilogram up to 100,000 a kilogram. So whatever price the rhino speculators place rhino horn at in the market, if they were ever allowed to do it, let's say it's 18,000 a kilogram. The international criminal syndicates will be able to supply rhino horn from the wild at much cheaper prices. So it doesn't matter what the price is, even if they drop it down to 10,000 or 5,000 a kilogram. The wild stocks which are poached, which have got the added attraction of being wild, will always be cheaper than the farmed. And when you have this price discrepancy, the criminal syndicates have got the advantage of price, and they've got the advantage of providing wild. Those two will always supersede any farmed animals at whatever price.
So again, there's an assumption in this cartel setup that we're going to have perfect governance and the price is going to be just right. And again, it ignores the fact that the poacher at the moment gets paid a flat rate, and he'll poach regardless of the price in your carefully constructed legal market, because it's much cheaper to poach than it is to farm.
Yeah,
farming takes a lot of money.
You know that you could poach a rhino and it'll cost you probably $300-400.
Right.
$300-400 is your cost. Your cost to farm rhinos is considerably more. So the international criminal syndicates have got the advantage of price, and they will always undercut the legal supply. And no matter how you cut and dice that, when you've got the price advantage and you've got a superior product in the mind of the consumer, the combination is lethal.